Hello, fellow gamers. Welcome to some Ker Nethalas solo RPG gaming today. First of all, let's start this off right. Again, little coffee cheers. It's not the morning anymore, but you know, I gotta stay perked up for some gaming. So everybody who may be drinking coffee still, cheers to you all or whatever beverage you have, and take a quick sip. And let's do it. Let's do some dungeon diving. So the first video in the series was an introduction to the game with an overview of the different chapters and contents of what you get when you buy Black Oath Entertainment's Alex T's Ker Nethalas. I think he did an amazing job of putting this game together, and I just am really enjoying it. So I wanted to share a little bit of my dungeon diving today and see how it goes. I'm really excited. I am relatively new to filming solo RPG, and I was watching, I watch a lot. I enjoy, one of my favorite things to do when I just want to chill is grab my coffee or snacks and sit on the couch and watch some YouTube gaming. Some of my favorite channels are the Dungeon Dive, Geek Gamers. There's so many actually other channels. Seeker's Hollow specifically for Ker Nethalas, highly recommend. Really got me into the game. And so my goal was to share some of my adventures. Xilia, we have Xilia here with us today. And we're going to jump into the story and I'll catch you up with where she's at. We did introduce a little bit about her, character in the first video. So if you haven't seen that yet, I'd recommend catching up over there as well. But I just wanted to create some content that makes me happy, the sort of stuff that I enjoy, hanging out and watching other people do. I figured it'd be really fun to film some of how I'm running the game. So just in case anyone didn't real quick see that first video, Xilia is a level 1 character with Weapon Master, Wrath Spawn, and after defeating the first domain, she got an amulet which she rolled on a random d20 table for Iron Collar for her masteries. So Weapon Master and Wrath Spawn really allow her to be strong in melee combat. Iron Collar is so cool to splash in. It starts with a tier 1 healing spell, and I'm excited to see what I unlock in the further tiers. I'm assuming there will be some attack spells as well. But so far she's shaping up really nicely, and I really want her to survive the Midnight Throne. We are in our first dungeon, which was the Glacial Burrower, is who we're fighting, or trying to find at this point. We're only 3 rooms in, and I'm going to catch you all up to, we started in this first room, had an event, second room had an event. S is for scavenge, so I remind myself that I've attempted a scavenge roll. And I just defeated a Wrath Elemental. We're about to roll on the spoils table to see what we get as loot. And, we'll probably have some more combat in this video, but that was a very long, drawn-out battle. The Wrath Elemental is a very magical style beast that we faced, and he was shooting lightning bolts, fire, crashes of water were being sent our way. He's an elemental fury style magical beast, and he really only sent either magical attack here or chaotic eruption of magical attack, and then a third of the time roughly, he was healing himself. And so I kind of took this upon me in battle once I realized his style of combat. I was like, well, he's trying to buff himself back up and survive. So I really need to go hard. So I took some riskier attack lines. I did not do evasive maneuvers as much. I did more bashing and aggressive attacks. I even, took -30 at one point a couple times back to back on my combat skill check just to target his head so I could get a critical hit, which I finally landed and was able to take him down. So the Wrath Elemental has passed, and we're taking him off the board. And we're now seeing if there are any spoils left behind, or there are spoils left behind. We're trying to determine what kind. So this is exciting to me as somebody who's, again, newer to filming. I actually purchased a second camera here, so I'm really excited. This customer is actually really, nerdily excited that I was able to set up in OBS, set up this sort of side camera for just the dice rolling. I'm just so pumped about it. I got this idea from another YouTube channels. I think several people have done stuff like this, and I just feel like this is so high tech for me. So I wanted to use dice and paper pencil in filming. I did look into and spend some time with Obsidian and look into some of their, I guess there's like RPG VTTs. I'm not exactly sure what that even stands for, virtual tabletop. That sounds right. So anyway, I looked into trying to film or record these videos with virtual sort of gaming. It just doesn't have the same feeling for me and enjoyment. And anytime I watch other people play, I love to, even though it is a little bit more fiddly with the table on paper and pencil, it's just, I think just for me, so much more rewarding. I'm old, so allow me to be who I am. I'm set in my ways, but this is so exciting. So let's see. So on the loot and spoils table, we first start by rolling a d6. That tells us if we get a 1 to 3, we're rolling on the mundane items, a 4 to 5, we roll on the valuable items, and if we hit that 6, we get the precious items table. Now I'm going to tell you right now, what allowed me to level up Xilia really quickly was I was able to go critical hit on back-to-back rolls of hitting a 6 to go precious item, and then a d20, I rolled the 16 to 20 for a relic, and the relics are very rare items that I got a drop on in the first domain. Obviously, to find, you had to hit a 6 and then a 16 to 20. The relics are very freaking awesome. It allowed me to get that sweeping blow tier 2 unlocked in my masteries, which allows her to swing her pylum, her shafted weapon, and attack all enemies in melee range at one time. It was super fun and cool to be able to see what you get on these tables. So I was literally by myself, not filming, and I think it's one of those moments of glee that I just freaking went so excited for. So let's see what we can hit today. Okay, guys, let's go. So we're rolling on the precious item table. I did not cheat that roll. I didn't even look at where that dice was in my hand. I know it didn't roll a ton when I flopped it onto the table or the dice tray, but that was exciting. Are we about to get another freaking relic? So 16 to 20 is relic, but honestly 1 to 15 being a magic item is still super solid. So come on, baby, big money. A 7. Okay, a 7. We're going to chill. We're going to be really happy with the 7. So let's go to the magic items table. So again, we have an index of tables. Magic items. Sorry, it might have just actually been in the spoils section. It might have told us where to go, and I'm just not seeing it at this second. I'm just so excited. The magic item table. So magic item peculiarity. It's got to be 206. It's got to be coming up in here somewhere. Now this is really exciting. Lore books in this page. I'm not peeking at that. Really don't want to look at that, but that's how you kind of sometimes get to see some really cool stuff about the world. You have to find these books scattered across the dungeon, which by the way, I do have some fun little dungeon minis and stuff. So let's look at that book on that table. So whenever we get to a lore book, I'm definitely going to be putting this on the table and having Xilia picking up her lore book to learn more about what's going on in this world of Ker Nethalas. But we're not going to peek. We're going to enjoy the game. So when you first find a magic item, you must roll on the item table to determine what type of item it is. Only after you've spent an attunement crystal to learn about its properties can you proceed to learn more about it using the tables in this section. So first when we found a magic item, we have to roll on the item table. So we have to go to the items table, and then we have luckily in our sack we have attunement crystals, so we have to use them at camp as part of our camping activities to unlock the magic item. So we're going to the items table, so we're going to 206, and that's what I thought in the first place was we first just pick up the item, and then here. So the items table is going to have us roll a d8, so let's go ahead and grab our d8. I'm going to put all the dice sort of in this area to be able to grab them easier. So a d8 is this one. So let's see what we get for we got number 3. So we ended up getting a belt. That's pretty good. I don't have a belt yet. So I think I'm supposed to roll on... Interesting. So it may have 1 magic, 2 magic properties, 3 magic properties. So for now, we don't get to determine the rarity, how many properties or damage or types of, properties assigned to it. There's all these tables of things that happen. But right now, we know we have a magical belt. So again, only after you've spent an attunement crystal, which are pretty, tough to come by, which thankfully we have currently, I think 3 of them though. You can then learn its properties further. So what we're going to do now is just write down, we are going to be camping here soon. So camping is definitely in the, so I spent this amulet already. The amulet, or I have this amulet for Iron Collar that I'm wearing, I guess. I wonder if I'm supposed to put that. Here we go. So I'm actually wearing the Iron Collar amulet right now. So I don't think that takes up a gear slot anymore. So that's what I found in the first domain. I still need to unlock this random potion that I was sitting on, and I'll do that another time. I think I'd like to just keep diving into the dungeon and showing some of the gameplay and maybe some combat. But for now, we're going to say we have a magical belt, and I'm just giving myself these little, unlock reminders to say, you have to still find out more about them. So, for example, this is what's really cool. So this random potion, I still have to determine if I can roll a check to decide if I can figure out what it is. In the lore of Ker Nethalas, so these potions have been sitting here from ancient sorcerers for who knows how long. And some of them could be spoiled, and when you consume them, they may have less efficacy. Like you might get half the healing properties or half the bonus benefits. In other situations, you might just drink a potion unknown like this one, because I could not discern. I failed the skill check to learn what that potion was. So when I take the potion, I'm going to find out, there's a table of potions, what it ends up being. That's so cool, because rather than just knowing in combat what that boost is, it's like some random benefit potentially. So we'll see on that unknown potion. But that's what I'm making note for myself, is that we need to use an attunement crystal. And I have 3 attunement crystals. Don't ask me how I got those. This world has been just a whirlwind of learning and exploring. So at some point I made note that I had those. So we will do some camping to do that later, but let's get into a room. And I do think that Xilia can handle battle a little bit. Let's catch up on her stats. I got rocked by the Wrath Elemental. Before I figured out his combat style and what I needed to do, I was taking some heavy damage. So I ended up re-rolling some toughness after battle to regain up to 3, but I did take 2 hits to my HP and health, so I'm down to 12. I will be needing to recover, more of this soon, but that will be at a campsite. So what we're trying to do now is determine this door and I did try and scavenge already, so I've made note that I tried to scavenge. We're trying to determine if this door here is locked and trapped. So how do we do that? So in the world of Ker Nethalas, you have a flowchart here to help remind you how this works. So to show you, we have the door check. So if door, which we have right now, check if it's locked. So a d20 roll. If you get a 12 or more, then it is locked. And then after that, we also have to roll to check whether it's locked or not if there's a trap associated with it. So a d10 roll, and a 7 or more, there is a trap. So then we'll go from there. We still don't have the lock picks to be able to unlock. I have not run into a cellar where I had enough money to do that. But I think that's going to be pretty high up on my list of things to try and get when I can run into a trader. I'll sell him some items or gear to try and recover some money if I can't find money elsewhere, and try to buy the Thieves Tool Pick. But let's first see if this thing is locked. So we're going to roll a d20. Ooh, 17. So it is locked. Let's check for traps. So we roll a d10. Not trapped. Okay, we rolled a 2. So what this locked door indicates is we're going to be having to do some skill checks for athletics to bash the door down. So every time we bash the door down or attempt to bash the door down, we're making noise in the dungeon. And what that means is that we are going to have to check the tension die. So right now our tension die in the dungeon is at a d8. And again, the cooldown dice mechanic says that if we roll a 1 or 2 on the d8, we then are on the tension die of d6. Again, now it's a higher probability that you get 1 or 2, you downgrade to a d4. And that's how you end up getting these growing darkness events that are just really bad permanently in the domain. And we're doing the same kind of cooldown mechanic to try and attempt to find our boss, our glacial burrower. And then eventually after we find him, we try and get to the exit with the same sort of cooldown mechanic. So it's a really fun system. So let's go ahead and first roll on our athletics. So Xilia has 40 points on her athletic skills. So when we first assigned, we get to assign our characters and heroes their starting stats. We get to decide what we want them to be better or worse at. And I decided that she was acrobatic and athletic, although she's taken some significant downgrades temporarily to her acrobatics. One was from, I think, a damaged nerve. Actually, that was one of her flaws that I rolled after the fact. So She's -10, I think, from that, potentially. And then she's wearing some Vambrace armor on her arms that have her at -5 temporarily on her acrobatics. But we're rolling athletics check for this one. So we're at 40, and each time we fail, we will be increasing our skill check goes up by, I think, +20. So it makes it a little bit easier because you're kind of thematically bashing the door over and over. So you're getting a little bit more traction on pushing it open. But let's try it the first time. 72. So that's a fail. So we did not roll 40 or under. We do need to check our D8 dice on the layer check on the attention die. So again, a 1 or 2 is going to be bad here. Rolled an 8. That's awesome. So we're not causing too much of a commotion. So now we're going to check athletics again at a 60 because again we're adding +20 to the skill of bashing this door down. Oh my god, it has 90 plus 10 is 100. At least it's not a critical fail, you know. But we're gonna roll. Oops, we're gonna roll the. Okay, we rolled the tension die. We landed on 4, so we're still safe. We're getting lucky here. Now we +20 again. The athletics check. We're at an 80. Okay, 35. And I do believe each time we do that, okay, we still had to check, and we didn't make enough noise to cause any downfall in our tension. So we have successfully busted that door open, and the MIDI on this is actually just open, so we're gonna go through it. So we've stepped into the new room. So this is now the entrance of the new room, and we're gonna formulate the new room. So what we do is we go to our D100 table of rooms, and we're gonna roll a D100 on the room table to generate what kind of room we have walked into. So give me a second, I feel like a clumsy old professor here flipping through my notes. Here we go, guys. That's what we're looking for. So, D100, baby, let's see what we get. We're gonna be entering room number 62. So these are labeled upside down. These are labeled, looks like the numbers are below the room. Ooh, cool looking room. So this room has a setup that has 2 doors. So it looks like it is, and I'm gonna just kind of vaguely draw this one for now to remind myself. I'm gonna write 62 here, and I'm gonna go back and redraw these more perfectly. This is my sketch with a mechanical pencil, and then I'll use my colored pencils later to make this a little bit more pretty. But we've got a door here and a door here, and the cool thing is a quick sketch on that means I'm saving time on the video to not be doodling. And we know now we have 2 doors, and this is what's more fun and cool, is to see this visually here. So I think we can spread this out a little bit. I'm looking at my camera to see how this looks, and we're kind of in the middle of this room. So here's what's really fun now. We walked into a new room, we get to generate more details about it. So let's see what's going on. So in the future, I think I shared with you all, I've invested in different solo role-playing game tools for narration, and these are Rory's story cubes, which I'm really excited to put to use again. I used to really enjoy rolling these up for random stories, like, oh, there's a poison sign, and you kind of get to look at this and create some sort of story behind a poison cane, maybe. There's an item in the room, and you have stumbled upon, but you know, that's what's really fun about these, is it just generates so much, and I've got a bunch of these sitting over here. Just, you could grab a random handful of them and roll up some story. But I want to demonstrate, before I kind of start branching out into other products and things, what's really nice is we have plenty of story to explore in the book. So we actually have a whole, what's it called? Table of room descriptions. So let's see what this room has for us. Now, admittedly, the room descriptions here in the book just add flavor to your story. They're not interactable events. It's something Geek Gamers actually requested, in a sense. When she gave her review, she said, I would love to have there to be some sort of interaction, which we absolutely could start throwing into it. So say we run into a room and there's like a big altar in there in the room description. We could do some sort of skill check to interact with it, and we could roll to see, is this a positive or negative event that we're trying to avoid or try to gain something. I think that kind of house rolling will be super fun eventually, but I'm still trying to learn the basics and get the flow of core rules down, and then we'll start, adding on after that. So let's see what this room has for us. We rolled a 10 and a 1. That looks like 10 plus 1 is 11. This room seems to have been blasted by a source of water for millennia, since all the surfaces are smooth and slippery. So she's kind of zipping around. And that's what's cool is you could do that and then almost be like, well, what's the reason that it's smooth and slippery? Tell me some more about this room. And okay, we got a text box and a, wow, I have no clue what that is. At first I thought it was a baseball bat. Maybe it's a telescope. So, you could come up with some sort of story behind. I would probably roll more dice at this point and be like, what the heck was that? Give me some more clues. Here we go. There's a submarine. That makes sense. A scuba helmet, maybe. So this is a submerged part. Thematically, this would be a room. If you, there's some really cool dungeon maps that you can draw 3D. This would have been like a staircase down. And this would have been even further. We're diving deeper into the Midnight Throne dungeon, and this has been blasted by source of water. It's smooth and slippery. You could even picture a room where there's evidence of sunken treasures and evidence of, this looked like a scuba ship to me, that there's maybe old ancient machinery in this room that the old whatever these people in this time and place that had built this once occupied world, they were trying to dig deeper into the earth to unearth some ancient mystical properties or elements to use in magical powers. And I'm not sure what to do with some of these other icons. At this point, Xilia is wandering deeper into this dungeon and getting tired. She's sleepy. So you can take these and do so much fun stuff with it. So yeah, you get the story stuff, but right now we have entered this watery, dark part of the room. So what's the next actual step in Ker Nethalas? So we got the room description. So now we're deciding if we have an event or an encounter. So let's go back to our flowchart, our handy dandy flowchart of exploration. So again, we've entered a room. So on the D100 table, the 1 through 24, whoops, that was out of view, so sorry about that. The 1 through 24, if you roll that, you get a corridor, which makes it harder in corridors to find enemies. Just thematically, they're more narrow and less occupied. People don't hang out in corridors. So your D20 check is actually for an encounter at a 15 or more. But when you're in a room, you've got a 50-50 chance. You enter a room, which is rolling a 25 through 100 on the D100 table, which we saw and generated. And we are going to still do, of course, our tension and layer check and tick off the light source. So let's go ahead and do all that first. And then when we roll the D20, an encounter is a 50-50 chance at 10 or greater. So we are going to, again, we currently have enough of a light source. We're going to have to use up another torch here soon. We're down to 2 ticks left after this on our light source. So we did the light source, and we're going to do a tension and layer check. So tension check, again, as we're moving through the dungeon, we're creating noise and causing havoc. We've come into that's slippery and all this water is creating noise. So are we going to elicit a step down on the tension check? We are not. That's a 5. So we're still safe. We haven't caused growing darkness events to continue. Now, are we getting any closer to finding our boss? So that's the layer and exit check. And unfortunately, that dice is a little bit harder to succeed on. I'm pretty sure that was a D12. Yep, we're still at the D12. So let's go ahead and find our D12, and we need to hit a 1 or a 2 to make this, this going diving deeper into the dungeon. Oh my God, it rolled a 1. I don't know if it was out of view, but it kind of rolled up against here and it hit that 1. So exciting today to be making progress towards finding our glacial burrower. I mean, I wonder thematically, there's water down here, so we're getting a little bit closer to, ice. You guys with me on that? So we're at a D10 now. So whenever we're checking on the next room, we'll roll a D10 and hope to get even lucky. We get better odds of getting down and down the dice checks. So we're getting closer to finding our glacial burrower, and we ticked our light source. We did our tension check. We did our layer check. So now we're at the step that I said we are going to see if we have an encounter or an event. So that is D20. 3. So that is not an encounter. That will be an event. And so we are going to roll on our D100 table of events and see what happens. So let's find our events table. Flipped right to it. And we're going to roll D100. This guy and this guy. We get event 90 plus 10 should be 100. So let's see. Rolling so high, we would hope that means these are good events. I haven't done enough of them to know. The ancient spirit of Valorian Necrolord appears in front of you, rushing towards you as it grabs your head from both sides. Make a resolve check. If you pass it, you gain 100 XP, as it fills your mind with forbidden knowledge. If you fail, your mind can't take it, and you must roll on the madness table. Oh, I've never wanted to pass a skill check more in this game, because I'm pretty sure the madness table is a whole heap of badness. I don't even know. Let's take a quick, before we do our resolve check, which I'm nervous about, so I'm trying to get myself even more scared of what's ahead if I fail, right? Isn't that just classic overthinker? Madness table 79. I'm pretty sure when I read the book, there's just a lot of badness, obviously, with madness. 79. So again, we're tracking our sanity. We're currently at 11 out of 12 on our sanity. So let's go ahead and read together why this sort of madness exists. So there are many horrors buried deep within Ker Nethalas. And unfortunately for you, your character's feeble mind will sooner or later start to suffer the consequences of being exposed to them. The more they are confronted with the abominations hidden in the necropolis, the more their sanity will slip, until only a cathartic episode will be able to cleanse their mind and allow them to keep pushing onwards. Your character's ability to withstand the fearsome creatures and circumstances that assail them while exploring Ker Nethalas is measured by their sanity score. Again, we're at 11 of 12 currently. The higher their sanity, the longer they'll be able to hold on to their wits and keep functioning normally. Eventually, though, their mind will crack, represented by a score of 0 sanity. When this happens, your character will be temporarily, or if you're unlucky, permanently taken by madness. When this happens, roll on the madness table. Fortunately for you, you can almost always attempt to resist the effects of sanity loss. Whenever confronted with a situation that would force your character to lose sanity, you must make a resolve check. A success means they've managed to hold on to their wits for now. A failure means that they lose whatever amount of sanity is specified by the circumstances. And so there's also these traits from opponents that you might meet some creatures that have the frightening and horrifying effects that are constantly making resolve checks as you face them in battle. Frightening is a little bit less bad than being a horrifying creature. They make you lose 2 sanity, whereas a frightening creature makes you lose 1 sanity. So what we're essentially saying here is if we fail this resolve check, we're not losing sanity, we're making an instant madness roll for something terrible happening to us. So oh my god, if you roll a 1 on a d10 on a madness roll, so if you critically fail, you just die. Your mind breaks, you're lost to the madness, your character is for all effects and purposes dead. Oh wow. But then again, we can also get 100 XP if you roll a critical success. You get another 100 XP. So this event, rolling 100 on the event table is about as scary as it gets, is what I've learned. So we're doing a resolve check. Please have a high resolve. I actually don't even... Oh, her resolve is a 10. We're at the start. We did not boost Xilia's resolve. I'm learning. This is my first character. I'm sad. You can't get too attached on your first run in a game. I think I certainly, in retrospect, would almost certainly want to have put at least a little more stats into her resolve. We're going to get so rocked here. So we're trying to resist this Valorian Lord. Oh my god, Xilia. 20 plus 10, so 30. So she failed. I was not expecting her, but we just really can't roll a 1 on a d10 now, because that would just be the end of this sweet lady's attempt to escape the underbelly of the world. So, guys, we don't get the plus 100 from the Valorian Lord, but we could still get plus 100 from the madness table. Come on, baby. 5, okay. You're scared of spending too much time in one place and rush through the rooms as fast as you can. Scavenging becomes a demanding -10 task. What is cumulative? So this is not good. Obviously, we're not dead, but we actually have this scavenging personal goal of trying to get 100 rooms successfully scavenged. We're only at 3. Our current scavenging is a 30, so -10, and I need to find out. So we're at 20 now. So scavenging has now become 1 in 5 sort of probability of scavenging a room successfully. But Xilia lives another day, and it's not the end of the world. I just need to look at what cumulative means, and that kind of keyword I can always double check later. I'm just going to read that one more time. So we got, you're scared of spending too much time in one place. You're rushing through rooms as fast as you can. This actually fits her story, if you recall from episode 1 or the intro to the game. She has a fragile mind. That was one of the flaws she rolled. So her sanities actually started at a baseline lower roll. She had to roll a d4, not a d6 for her sanity score bonus. And so this actually thematically kind of makes sense. She's skittering around scared, even more scared than normal. Scavenging becomes demanding, a -10 cumulative. I just don't know what the cumulative part is, and I can look that up later. I'm just pretty sure that for now, scavenging has become a lot harder. So that is the situation in that room. So we can now try and scavenge this room. So we're going to roll, obviously with our -10 now, we're rolling for 20 or under to see if we can scavenge. 78 is not it. So we got E100 and scavenged. And so now we can set up camp here. So one thing is, if we want to, we can use that magical item and we can attune the crystal. So what we have to do is go through a whole camp check setup sort of process. And I have paperwork for that because I've only camped once, I think, total, which was in the first domain. So it is kind of a little bit of a worksheet, and I'm learning this process as we go myself. But what's nice is that somebody, again, fan-made content, has provided us with summarizing the chapter of what all we're trying to do. And so, for example, we would really love to use the attunement crystal on that magic item. That'll cost us 1 exhaustion, but does not affect our camp roll modifier. Because you'll see some of these give minus rolls for camp, minus to your camp roll. And in the camping section of the book, in order to make a camp check, you must roll a d20. A result of 10 or more means that everything's fine and you've rested safely. A failure triggers a roll on the encounter table and reduces all the benefits of camping by half. So again, thematically, she's trying to go to these doors and barricade them. She's obviously working in this room to attune a magical item. She's spending time, she's going to probably trying to do more things than that. She's trying to rest. She's spending time just lingering in this subterranean, watery room. Doesn't sound super comforting. So in that time, we're rolling a camp check to see if a wandering monster comes in and we have to do battle. So now, we would have to deal with an encounter of an enemy. Our camping benefits would be, cut in half. So things like recovering our toughness and, the things that happen in a campsite that definitely always happen, we would normally regain all of our toughness, but we'd only get half. We would regain 1 of our HP, which currently was, I think, at 12 or 14, but we would get still, half rounded up. So I think that doesn't get affected, thankfully. The D4 sanity would get halved if we failed a camp check, and our exhaustion reduction would get halved. So, that's why these camp roll modifiers are important, because you're trying to gamble in a sense of how much can you actually get done without getting a wandering monster coming in and messing up your activities. So things that I would want to do besides attuning the magical item. Honestly, the good news is I in my last camping scenario, I didn't really do. I did stuff like this, like where I crafted bandages and torches and such, where I haven't used them up fully yet. So I think I still have the space to not have to do too much more. And of course, when we do a camping, we have to spend 1 ration, which we have also crafted at our last camp. We were doing some cooking with our cooking supplies, and we got rations. And so let's take a look at how much stuff Xilia has currently. So all my papers are now mixed up. I'm gonna have to do some sorting. Everything is just in a big old pile. So rations wise, I have 3 rations. And so and we have these 2 candles and a torch that we haven't used yet for lighting. So honestly, we can just try and rest to attune a crystal. And you can also, there's also this really nice thing that we can do that increases your camp roll. So let's go to the camping section again, which I can't seem to find. Did I just mess it up? Camping. There's combat. Let's just see if it's in the index of tables. I knocked off my camping sticker, y'all. So, there's that. I say I knocked it off, I took it off to read. So, get that back in there. So there's a way to barricading, right? So barricading, you're spending, so this is where you're spending an exhaustion in a sense, but you can add 5 to your, you spend a crafting supply and you get 1 exhaustion, but you get to increase your camp roll by 5. So you can see here, I wonder, it should be in here, barricade, yeah, barricade, I think this means +5, yeah, so this actually says -5, it should be +5. So if you spend 1 crafting supply and gain an exhaustion, you can actually up your camp roll modifier by +5. So that just makes sense. And I also have a bedroll, which I can look up what that does, but I really don't have to do a ton. So your other option though is you can always do what's called taking a breather. So taking a breather is where you don't actually do this whole process of setting up a camp. You just are doing a quick rest, like a short rest rather than a long rest. And there's all these things that happen differently with taking a breather, but I think we really want to attune this crystal, so we do have to set up a camp. So Xilia finds a little small room. You guys know from the first video, I couldn't wait to use that little camp firewood stuff. I put these little sticks and painted them on this candle that used to light up if you didn't see it in the first video. So Xilia is trying to get around here, and she really wants to attune her crystal. So I don't really have minis for that. Let me take a sip of coffee. So what we're going to be doing for camping is we're going to spend 1 ration. So let's go into our gear. We have 3 rations. We have 3 attunement crystals. We're going to go down to 2 of each. And we're going to gain an exhaustion, which thankfully, again, Xilia is not looking too rough on the exhaustion meter. She actually is pretty healed from her last situation of resting. So she's at 1 now. She took 1 exhaustion for that. And then attuning a crystal did not, oh, attuning a crystal does add a 2nd exhaustion. So that'll be 2 exhaustion. And we can barricade. We have crafting supplies. So our crafting supplies, we have 8. So we can go to 7 on our crafting supplies, and we can take a 3rd exhaustion. So, you know, she set up the fire. She's going to these doors now, and she's barricading the doors. So, but that's going to give her +5 to her camp roll modifier. Attuning looks like it doesn't do anything. And then we're not really cooking. We're good on torches and oil for now. We made a bandage last time, I think. I don't really feel like I need much more. And so that's pretty much it. So we're basically going to roll now to see if a monster has wandered in. And again, we're +5 -1, +5. And oh yeah, attuning was not a modifier for -1, so we're just +5. So we're rolling a d20 and we just need a 15 or greater. And you know, call me optimistic, but a 12, y'all. Phew, we did it. So we get to attune. So first of all, we get to attune our magic item. Let's regain all of our toughness. That's so nice. So she got a good night's sleep. So Xilia's, she's snoozing. What did that little symbol we got here, guys? We got snoozing. That's what this room was about. It was like, you're about to camp, bro. So 14 out of 14 on the toughness. We gain 1 health back, so we go to 13 out of 14. So she's getting, you know, that's what I'm saying. She didn't really need to craft too many like bandages and healing stuff. She's healed up pretty well now. Her exhaustion did go up a little bit, but I think we haven't at this point gotten a ton of exhaustion. So I do think that there is, you know, a reduction of exhaustion by 10. So we spent exhaustion, but then we reduce our exhaustion back to 0. So, you know, exhaustion can be probably gained in a lot of different ways. And if you do a ton of stuff, then, you know, all of these are giving you exhaustion. But, you know, we also didn't get a monster to cut that in half to 5 exhaustion regained. So, you know, we got barricading done. We attuned the crystal. But, you know, thankfully we rested well as well. So there was no downside really to those couple of things. What we're really excited to do now is go find out what the magical belt properties are. So magical properties of a belt is on 208. I'm actually super pumped for this. So, well, first of all, let's see how rare this item is. So, again, we ended up rolling for the belt, and now we get to see, is it a uncommon, so it'll only have 1 property? Is it rare, it'll have 2 properties? Or is it epic belt? I would love for Xilia to wear an epic belt. So let's roll a d10. That's the underline on the 6 side, not the 9, unfortunately. So we got a rare, so we get 2 magic properties. And I guess we're going to go to the table for properties, because I'm wondering if this would tell you, because there's tables here for damage type, acid, enemy type. I guess we're not doing that. We're going to go now to see what the 2 properties of the belt magic are. So D20, we get to roll this twice. So we got an 11 and we got a 3. So we are immune to fear, and roll on the damage table. You are resistant to that damage type. Let's go. So, okay, before we even do that, let's put on her belt. We have a magical belt, you guys. So this is exciting. We're going to put on our magic belt. And we're going to put in here that we got immune to fear, and we will be resistant to a D20 random damage type. 17 is psychic damage, immune to fear and psychic damage. And now we can actually go. That is so exciting. And a belt also allows us to do some really cool things where we get some belt slots unlocked. We can put little belt torches and lighting stuff in there so that we don't need to be carrying the torch, and that gives us an extra hand in combat, that we don't have to take an action point to put down our torch or anything. If we want to two-hand a weapon or dual wield, a belt is awesome to have found. So we did say that we are resistant to psychic damage, so we're going to tick that off, and we are immune to fear. I don't see it on here, so we're going to put Xilia is immune to fear. Check. I guess, sorry, it's going to bother me. I didn't put it in the right column. So fear is here, and check, baby. So, or I guess fill in the box, because that's what I've done the other one. See, again, this is why I prefer doing it with pencil and paper. But okay, so that was a really fun, so what we've done so far, just to recap, is, you know, we broke through that door, we busted down the door, we came in here, we had a crazy encounter in this underbelly watery room with a Valyrian lord who gave us, you know, a hard time scavenging. He put some madness in our head. Xilia is already super skittery and frightful, so she really needed to rest and calm her nerves. She was able to do that and attune her magical belt, and now she's gained these resistances to psychic damage and fear, so she steeled her nerves, and she's responding to, you know, thematically this idea that, holy shit, if I'm going to survive down here, I really need to toughen up. And she found this magical belt that is, you know, giving her some more resolve against psychic damage and the fears that the Valyrian lord caused her. How freaking cool. We have to check. We also get to check if these 2 doors are open or closed and if they're trapped. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's resolve that really quickly. Again, really quick to figure that out. So we know we're rolling. Let's roll for the top right door. So we're looking at this door. Is this door open? And 13, barely missed on that one. So this one is locked. And we can roll to see if it's trapped as well. And it is not trapped at 1. So it's locked but not trapped. And so I'm going to make a note of that. So not trapped. And then how about the other one? The other one, is it open or is it locked? And that'll be a D20 roll. 20. It is definitely locked. And is it trapped? It is trapped. So I think we know which door we are headed to. Xilia is going to be heading, after her nice little camp and rest, to the locked but not trapped door. So that is going to be, I think I'm going to wrap. I really liked the amount of stuff that we covered in this one session, and I do want to show combat. I think hopefully the next room we'll get to some combat. I obviously have to figure out, I'm still learning how I'm drawing maps, but I think in the meantime, just doing it quickly as a sketch, and then I can always go back and make it pretty, is kind of nice, because I think just visualizing the doors and the room environment over here for the purposes of streaming, and also visually just look and feel really nice. So I hope you enjoyed that little exploration and camping, you know, demonstration of Ker Nethalas, and hopefully we'll do some battle in the next room. But even if we don't, like, I was super freaking pumped to roll that we found a magical item on our spoils from the last battle. So you all missed the Wrath Elemental battle, but you got to see what happened at the end of it. Not only did I give myself plus 50 XP, you get to regain after battle D4 toughness. So those things I had already done prior to starting the video. And I'm just trying to show you here what happens if I can find that table. There's just so many helpful aids that eventually I should just 3-hole punch these and probably get like a little notebook going. This is just my early sort of days with it. But yeah, there was that table that basically summarized what happened after battle. And so we will come back to hopefully getting another battle encounter in on stream. But for now, I think that was a very satisfying session. So let's end it with another roll for as Xilia enters her new room. Let's see what sort of feelings or things that she senses as she walks through this door. Okay, so when we resume on our next game, whenever she does break down that door, which she will, it's quite dark. This is a moon. She can sense, even though it's an underbelly of the world, that it is nighttime. Even out in the real world, it just feels dark and gloomy. And let's see, we got a castle and an egg and a hand. So this next room, thematically, we'll roll the room description to get it more from the book, but it's probably going to be this like sort of medieval style, like, castle. Picture like a nice room in a castle. So an ancient lord, again, the Valyrian lord that was in this room, his like private study might have been back here, and she's hungry for eggs. I don't know what that is. So anyway, we will continue on to the next room of the dungeon on the next video. Thank you for hanging out and watching some of the non-combat aspects of Ker Nethalas, and I hope you all are enjoying the game so far as much as I am. And we'll see where Xylia and her magical belt take her next.